Chrissy Lampkin didn't simply lose it, she broke. And the man responsible for it all, Camron, one audio leak, one frightening voicemail, and the whole basis of her life broke down in real time. No trims or edits, just unadulterated chaos. The leak was uncomfortable and caused items to rain out, in addition to being untidy. After Chrissy spent years burying Camron, he didn't hold back. Jim Jones heard it, marched out of the home without inquiry, and never turned around. Let it sink in. Jim Jones, who supported her through TV drama, street fights, and accusations of adultery, is gone. And according to insiders, it's not just because of the leak. The revelation validates a long-simmering scandal and a betrayal that goes deeper than anybody could have predicted. Reality TV is no longer the only thing available. Is a comprehensive breakdown of the most controversial hip-hop romance. You're going to hear the part they don't want the public to hear: deceit, treachery, and concealed signals. And once it's out, there's no going back. After everything they've endured with the claims of adultery, reality TV therapy, public outbursts, and constant criticism on Instagram, are you telling me that? Now, Chrissy Lampkin is crying about a movie that was released and features Camron. Jen Jones abruptly got up and left, as if he had had enough of the entire Saba baby. This is more than simply a mess. So what's happening behind closed doors? It is radioactive. Let's not act like it's simply another hip-hop and love collapse, shall we? This is much bigger. We are discussing treachery secrets that were never meant to be revealed, and a triangle that has the potential to be both romantic and dangerous. According to those familiar with the matter, a covert video that was allegedly shot years ago just surfaced, showing Camron and Chrissy in what seems to be a very private setting, with candles lit, whispers being said, and no sign of Jim Jones. The timing of this leak is terrible because, depending on who you ask, Jim was allegedly completing a commitment to Chrissy, either another proposal or a full-fledged elopement situation, when he abruptly stopped answering calls and disappeared during a private dinner. Call because Chrissy is a mess, and her team is on damage control since her friends are worried. According to one insider, she hasn't stopped crying since the movie went viral online. She was unaware of its existence. Jim saw it and said, "I can't do this any longer," despite her insistence that it's not what it is. And really, who is to blame for him? The vocals are clear, and the chemistry is evident despite the film's shakiness and graininess. Chrissy has a dejected expression. However, things become stranger from here. Nothing has been challenged by Camron. Indeed, hours after the video began to circulate, he posted a mysterious tweet. "Something ought to have remained private between us. A digital wildfire has been started by the tweet alone." Given that Camron and Jim haven't been friends for a long time, many are now wondering if this leak was deliberate, a last-ditch attempt at vengeance, or genuinely accidental. History exists. There are ugly scars. Some even believe that Chrissy was involved in the Dipette split far more than either of them acknowledged. Let's go back in time to the early 2000s and see if this video is the final piece of the puzzle, or if it is just the beginning of a new conflict. Camron Jim Jones, Chrissy Lampkin, is having a time with her Harlem life, bling, and celebrity street influence. Chrissy was constantly present. Though nothing was ever confirmed, there were rumors that Chrissy wasn't always Jim's alone. She was first referred to as Jim's lady, then his ride or die, and finally the person who held him down when no one else would. People clocked the tension in backstage footage, dubious statements, and interviews. "Keep your lady near, or she could wind up with the ghost. Folks thought it was just bars," Camron once said on a mixtape. However, Chrissy became more than just a +1 when love and hip-hop entered the picture. She was the main character, the catalyst for the fire, and the emotional core of the whole many people remember when she asked Jim to marry her on national television. It was history, not just romance. A woman stepping up, demanding commitment, and breaking preconceptions. Yet there was a lot of sadness behind that moment. Feeling abandoned and unsupported for years, pushing it away. It seems like all that strength now. With a single leak, all of that work just fell apart in her face. This is where it becomes concerning, though. A trustworthy source from a Hip Hop and Love production team said that there were unreleased film clips where Christy seemed to allude to a more intimate connection with Camron. She also mentioned certain things that weren't shown. The source claimed that she broke down in tears and felt abandoned by everyone, with the exception of one group member, whom she did not identify but whom we all knew. What if that devotion went beyond limits? What if Camron was more than just a friend who supported her? Jim has been oddly quiet, posting no Instagram stories or tweets. Nothing that is unnerving for someone as vocal and sensitive as Jim. According to some, he is imprisoned in Miami. Some believe he's wiring up. In any case, his silence is strong, and followers are watching every moment of the leak. Similar to the Zapruder movie in order to match tattoos to older photos, they are slowing things down and turning up the audio. The internet has turned into a massive crime lab, and Chrissy's outcome does not appear promising thus far. Chrissy, the timing is equally as important as the footage. She talked about second chances and trust, and how she was finally ready to have a child on a podcast only last week. She said, "Jim and I are stronger than we've ever been." Who could have said that? And then woken up to this. The betrayal isn't just private, it's public, and people are talking about it. Hashtags are trending. Chrissy was unfaithful. Camron received receipts for free Jim Jones, who is trending despite the method's inconsistency. But hold on, there's more. What if I told you Jim's girl was mine? Was the question posed in a direct message that was allegedly sent from Camron Berner's account to a well-known gossip page months ago. At first, it was dismissed, laughed off, and erased. But now, everyone is asking the same question, and it's being screenshotted, shared, and scrutinized like gospel. Was this a slow-burning scheme or a time bomb that would go off when the pain was greatest? You are aware, Mama. Somewhere, Scott Young is sipping tea and laughing while getting ready for the reunion episode of a lifetime. The kind of drama that you can't write, but perhaps you can. And someone did, given the theory that the entire debate was stage managed to get hits, contracts, and influence. However, if that's the case, someone neglected to tell Chrissy since her tears are real, and her breakdown is sincere. Additionally, other witnesses attest that she has shivered and hyperventilated during a panic episode at a meeting, screaming, "I didn't do this!" and award her an Oscar if she is acting. Chrissy was enthralled, and the silence between them appeared to be resonating off the walls with every breath she took, sounding like betrayal. Her legs became weak, and she sat on the velvet couch's edge, cradling her phone in silence, as though it had just crushed her hopes, which it had. Camron's video was explosive in addition to being filthy. It includes alleged voicemail recordings from years ago when Chrissy appeared to complain in an irate voice. It's always dedicated to Jim. Even worse, she alluded to a contingency plan that had always existed, and fans were excited. Carefully analyze each phrase, even if it matches the auditory tone of Chrissy's earlier Love and Hip Hop videos. The internet investigators were occupied. However, what made it worse? Camron posted it with a remark that sent everyone into a frenzy, not just by himself. The entire time Jim was committed to the incorrect one, Chrissy was planning, and the comments section erupted. Meanwhile, according to reports, Jim Jones had driven out of their home in a black SUV with tinted windows. His face was icy. Since the clip ended, there was nothing to say to Christy, not even a text, and that silence was more powerful than any yell. Then there was yet another startling discovery. An image of what they claimed was an earlier text exchange between Chrissy and Camron, in which Chrissy wrote, "If this goes wrong, I know," was posted by a blog known for posting shady receipts. Camron responded with a cheeky emoji saying, "I got you like I always did. They just don't know." People started to wonder right away if Chrissy and Camron had a covert affair behind Jim's back. Was this more than betrayal? Was this outright espionage? At this point, the bloggers weren't just reporting. They were reloading gossip channels and setting up exclusive interviews with the pair's purported friends. In a now famous TikTok, an anonymous individual claiming to be a hairstylist for Chrissy's inner circle revealed tea. When Camron's name was mentioned, Chrissy used to laugh as though he wasn't her boyfriend's op, but she remained silent on social media. Jim Jones. When Love and Hip Hop executive producer Mona Scott posted a mysterious statement along with some facts, the industry started to react. She unfollowed Chrissy and Camron on Instagram, citing a 2007 picture of the two of them in a private backstage setting, with Cam's hand resting low on Chrissy's waist and her face too close to his ear. This seemed to be unquestionable proof that the picture had been ignored at the time. But now it was being used like the final piece of a puzzle. Even famous people began to contribute. Yandy Smith made a dubious tweet, claiming that karma always has the last word. Don't seem brand new when the receipt is constantly present. In the meantime, remind me of Mel's comment underneath a blog post. Betrayal will cost you everything. The response extended beyond digital to include banking firms. Chrissy began separating from a high-end wig manufacturer with which she had ties. She just archived all of her joint posts. One jewelry brand canceled her next promotion and released an ambiguous statement about upholding trust and morals. According to people close to the artist, she was losing business. He hasn't had any public appearances or studio sessions in Miami. Therefore, he has completely disappeared. In fact, a fan posted a blurry picture of him at a hotel in South Beach, and his face appeared exhausted, as if he were dishonest every single day. Public sentiment began to change in response to 4 of the scandals, and Chrissy, who was formerly viewed as the ride-or-die advocate, was now called a mastermind. Plot twist: Queen was the real reason Jim never married her, according to memes that surfaced with that name. Chrissy, Dipset's unseen antagonist. The drama was speeding into an unidentified region.
Every minute Chrissy remained silent, the internet added 10 additional layers to the conspiracy, and Camron hinted at producing a second leak containing papers that would put a stop to the story. And as if things couldn't get much worse, a new rumor surfaced that Chrissy could have been the one to push Jim to break off contact with Cam in the first place, sowing the seeds of suspicion years ago in order to control the story and keep her own secret safe. How much of Jim's life had been impacted by her lies by this point was the question, not whether Chrissy was guilty. It was more than simply a dispute. It was a tragic film. People close to the sources claimed that Chrissy had isolated herself in a secluded home in the Hamptons, avoiding any media attention and even severing ties with her closest friends. Chrissy's name became viral because she was unraveling like never before. An anonymous stylist said to a gossip website that she is not responding to anyone, not even her mother. She spends the entire day crying. The floor is covered with broken glass, and her bedding is covered in makeup. The atmosphere in that house is gloomy, yet in spite of her breakdown, the crowd was indifferent and hungry. Camron knew exactly how to serve it. Cam returned to Instagram with a second live video exactly 1 week after the first breach, this time showing a document folder called The Last Straw PDF. As hundreds of onlookers jammed the discussion with "drop it and finish her" requests, he just nodded and stared into the camera for the first 30 seconds. He then said, "You all wanted answers. Say less, and allow me to explain why Jim lost faith in his own team, how Deepet fell apart, and why loyalty is a joke in this line of work." He then displayed 2 old and blurry photos. However, what they appear to show has completely collapsed social media. A picture of Chrissy lounging next to an unidentified man in a darkened lounge with his arms draped over her shoulder and her eyes closed. A smiling picture of a hotel room door with a dated security camera photograph, and a picture of a hotel room door. 5 minutes after the mysterious man arrives, Chrissy follows. The man's name was mentioned on Twitter, but not on the camera. Within an hour, the mystery person chart was trending, and there were theories circulating about who it was. Some speculated that it was a rival rapper who had disparaged Jim Jones in a 2015 song, while others said it was a well-known music industry executive. The most bizarre theory was that it was an A-list actress who had been close to Chrissy in private throughout her career and seemed to want a piece of his business music. It made no difference what was genuine. The story had already changed course, and it became worse when a third unnamed source, claiming to be a former assistant to Mona Scott, revealed a voicemail that showed a woman who sounded very much like Christy saying, "Camron knows too much. Jim would actually leave me this time if he flips, I warned him, so don't say anything." No one gave a damn, even though the voice wasn't verified. The video went viral, with bloggers highlighting it as Chrissy's last admission. In less than 2 hours, Reddit posts had over 3,000 comments, and fans started assembling whole films that revealed Chrissy's claimed years of manipulation. At a club show that was planned months in advance, Jim Jones appeared in New York by himself, but he didn't perform or rap. He just stood with his arms crossed and a drink in the VIP section as the DJ played classic Dipset songs. The audience began yelling the names of Christy and Jim Jones as soon as We Fly High began. He simply closed his eyes without saying anything. He seemed to be praying, according to some, while reenacting each sentence in slow motion, according to others. According to accounts, Chrissy was continuously followed back to her haven. One anonymous nurse told a tabloid that her blood pressure had risen after she nearly went to the emergency room due to a panic attack. She was having trouble breathing and kept saying, "He hates me. He'll never forgive me. It's over." The collapse was nearly unrecognizable for someone who had once controlled New York's most dangerous circles with unflinching certainty. And just when the public thought things couldn't get much more venomous, a fourth party joined Jim's loud, unfiltered mother, who was known for speaking the truth, went live on Facebook and dragged Chrissy by her weave both psychologically and emotionally. "Told you that she wasn't correct. You guys called me a hater. You believe I didn't notice the subtle glances and the unspoken conversations? You may see what I saw now." The harsh comment. All along, Mama Jones was right. This woman tried to keep her child safe, and you all made fun of her. She didn't miss the last coffin nail in Chrissy's public persona. The ride or die turned traitor. In a leaked email obtained by a dubious media outlet,
The woman who waited 20 years for a ring now appeared to be the reason she never got one. According to reports, Mona Scott was ready to re-edit and re-release her previous hip-hop and love movie with a different setting. According to an unidentified editor, she wants to end a dispute, cut out whatever they were unable to display at the time. It's time to play now. Thus, this was about rebranding history, rather than merely treachery. Not only were sponsors severing their relationship with Chrissy, but they were also suing a fashion collaboration that demanded its $60,000 advance refund on the grounds of reputation damage. Another collaboration attempted to stop Chrissy from claiming to be their ambassador. Additionally, it appears that someone close to her attempted to contact Jim with a handwritten message while she was still missing. "I don't want forgiveness. I want the truth to stop being weaponized," was the message that was smuggled into the shadowy chamber. "Even if I wasn't flawless, I never intended to destroy you because I loved you." Was it real or fake? Who knows? Fans, however, were split. One half expressed regret for her breakdown, while the other half made a comment too late. And a few days later, Jim was shown sans his engagement ring. The man who had supported her through thick and thin was now out there alone and focused. And if the rumors are true, record labels and streaming services are already contacting him to tell his side of the story in a full-length documentary series. Camron is furious, and Chrissy remains silent and hiding. He posted one last meme, and I tried to caution him by writing, "Love doesn't pay attention." And just like that, the internet proclaimed Chrissy the betrayer, Camron the king of petty, and Jim the victim. And no apologies. Simply put, closure is chaos.